neighbor, and this is Stray People. With me this week is Rick Westbrook from Rainbow House Coalition. Is that correct? Or Rainbow Coalition House?
Rainbow House Coalition.
Rainbow House Coalition, yes. And we've known each other for a hot minute, I feel like. Yeah. Yes, absolutely. And Rick, you are not a straight person. We're just going to dispense with the mystery and get it out there.
No, most people know me as Mama Rick.
Mama Rick, yeah. That's true. That's true. So Rick, let's start talking about the charity because it's new, right? I mean, it's a new nonprofit. It's something that
I'm one of the co-founders of Lost and Found Youth, but things were not moving fast enough there. We've got so many kids on the street, not just gay kids, but straight kids too.
But we have an epidemic of young homeless in this country.
Absolutely.
And then LGBT, people of color, and gender nonconforming and trans
in the Southeast, the Bible Belt. Yeah. So I resigned from there and I started Rainbow House so that we could just get housing for these kids. Youth, because they're 18 to 25.
Yeah. And you have instances where there are people who are in these programs who have full-time jobs and then are still living under
a bridge in a tent because they can't afford. Nothing in Atlanta is affordable anymore. Yeah. They're especially if they're around the Beltline. So the idea is we will rent the house and they'll move in, they'll pay rent. Half of what they pay goes towards expenses on the property. The other half goes into a trust fund. Yeah. If they're with us for 6 months, a year, as long as there's no damage to the room they're renting, we write them a check so they have a little nest egg.
Nice.
So that way,
so it's to get people housed and then back on their feet. To
exactly, and
so they can go on to
certain things. There's plenty of agencies in town, including Lost and Found, that can do the wraparound services, the mental services, the health services, things like that. I'm a big fan of tiny home villages, and container house apartments. Yeah. So we'll be pushing for that. As long as it's away from the Beltline, because that's affordable housing in the Beltline. That's not two terms that go together very well.
Not anymore. It was. Remember the beginning though.
Yeah, it was in the beginning, but it hasn't been delivered. Yeah. So.
Well, no, I think that the reality of the Beltline is that it needed that sort of corporate buy-in, and unfortunately that corporate buy-in has removed affordable housing. We walked from the parade to Pont City Market, and it's Pont City Market is, you have to be that's a $2 sign above situation. You can't go there with a little money and expect to get anything. Honestly, anything.
No, not even water.
Yeah. And so it's government money and city money paying for this sidewalk from business to business. And then everything along the way should be cost extra for some. I don't even.
And it's going to be beautiful. It's going to be pretty. Well, homeless kids are marginal population, don't jog and don't bike along, things like that. It's
hard to do that when you work two jobs or whatever.
Or you're sucking dick behind a dumpster for some money. It's rich white boys that do things like that. So,
absolutely.
And we were talking about
that's inside and outside of the gay community.
Yeah,
isn't
exactly.
It's the straight boys. It's the straightest and whitest among us, even our own.
Yes.
Even our own.
I agree.
They don't like to hear that though.
I know.
And it's so close after Pride. Pride was yesterday. Today's another day. Yeah.
Yes. So we're back to reality.
Yeah, they can take it.
But even the Gulch thing that they're talking about now, we'll have affordable housing in there. I'm sorry, but $1,400 or $1,400 to rent a studio apartment is not affordable housing.
Not at all.
No.
Not at all. And the Gulch is I love how they refer to it as this really sentimental, historic hole in the middle of our city. That they've never been able to do anything with.
Yeah,
but they found some way to turn it into something that's going to cost extra. Yeah, how does that?
So they can walk through it now and not be afraid that somebody's going to rob them or something like that. It's just as bad as underground. Yeah,
absolutely. So you've spent though a good at least 8 years, right?
It'll be 7 next month.
7 next month.
Yeah,
working with LGBT QIA, homeless youth,
exactly,
and in the Southeast, and
do you want to just kids.
And strait kids? It's got to the point where you got to help the strait kids too.
You know, as long as they were an ally and didn't come out being racist or homophobic, we would help anybody.
But there are probably straight kids who don't fit in with the religious. So if you're a straight child who comes from a bad religious experience, and you want to go into some of these shelters, I bet that there's a lot of accepting or pretending that maybe you don't have to do with lost and found. So that might be a reason that might be the case.
Exactly, and that's why they come to us.
So how do you feel though about? So let's just pivot for a second. The idea of queer straight. Have you ever heard this term, queer straight? So that's queer. That's straight people who are have so many queer friends and they're so involved in the queer community that they no longer identify fully as straight. And they're not seen as straight by their family. And so they identify as queer straight.
I was talking to one of those the other day.
One of those.
And he actually has a child, and he goes, "Well, I like a good blowjob every once in a while. Who does that?" Okay. And I was like, "Okay."
Well, that's a little different than I meant. Well, heteroflexible or
it's exactly.
Or situationally bisexual is the term I use for that. If the conditions are correct.
I was a bisexual in the 80s. It was chic to be bisexual.
We were all because I thought it was safer. It was a testing the waters. Oh, do you know what I'm saying? It was my way of letting my girlfriend at the time know that I wasn't eating that pussy anymore. I was like, I'm bisexual. I've got a craving for some DICK, sweetie.
I was married for 3 years.
What?
But she couldn't get a heart and shove it in. So we split, and she's doing well now.
Wait, so you were married for 3 years?
Yeah.
Were you like high school sweethearts? What was the situation?
No. I met her straight out coming out of college. And
so did you identify as straight? Was it like you knew you were gay but had to hide it, or what was
well, back then I thought I liked them both.
Okay.
I liked boys better.
Yeah.
But a hole was a hole.
Okay.
But it didn't last long enough. We were too young, and no.
Was it for the wrong reasons? You think?
Yeah.
Was it just to normalize?
Yeah, it was the family going, oh, well, if you two are going to live together, you really need to be married. That type of thing. Of course, when I end up doing all the flowers and the invitations, it should have been a clue.
Oh God, when you planned the wedding,
yes,
and wouldn't let her ruin it for you.
No,
not my big day.
No, that's what we had. So John and I just got married after 24 and a half years.
Oh, congratulations!
And we did it right.
Took you long enough.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, well, with the current political state that's out there now, we wanted to go ahead and get it over with to see what's going on.
Absolutely. So, it's harder to break you up. You know what I'm saying? Of course, Payne, my husband, immediately after we got married, he goes, well, we just registered with the government freely, 2 by 2. He just has like the most negative. He's like, they're just going to round us up, a pair at a time. And
exactly.
I'm like, great.
Lovely.
Right. So you've been out. How long have you been out gay?
Oh God. Since 85.
So for some people listening to this podcast, longer than you've been alive.
Yeah.
The most constant thing in your life is Rick Westbrook's homosexuality. Do you know what I'm saying?
Exactly.
And you've been out in in Atlanta the whole time? Mm-hmm. So what was Atlanta like? Gay, like what was Gay Pride Atlanta in 1985 like for you?
Oh, I didn't go back then.
Oh, you didn't?
No.
Okay.
No,
Why not?
Well, it was the corporate life, so
Oh, so you had to hide it?
Yeah, that's like a decade after they started. The first Pride Parade in Atlanta was in 71.
Okay.
And I graduated high school in 81.
Okay.
So I didn't go to the parade or anything until I met John around 94.
94.
Yeah.
So what was going on? So you were out at 19.
I was back then. You didn't discuss it at work.
Okay.
So I wasn't out at work.
Yeah.
I was.
But you didn't have like a girlfriend in Canada.
No.
Yeah,
not after the marriage. It was.
No. Yeah. But you had an ex-wife. That's good as beard of any, I suppose, right?
So, I was a stripper back then. So
you were a stripper. And you had a corporate job?
Yeah.
So where were you a stripper?
It's a little place called 551. It's right beside the Cactus Car Wash on Ponce in the basement. Yeah.
Yeah. Was that the old MJQ? Is that what you're talking about?
It's a an apartment building.
Oh, now it's an apartment building.
Yeah.
Okay.
For SCAD students.
Okay.
And in the basement there was a bar.
Yeah.
They had a little seedy bar, and they had drag shows and stripper boys.
That was like the entertainment when I moved to Atlanta in like 1991.
Oh yeah.
That was all there was strippers.
Yeah.
It was all drag show, like drag queen stripper, drag queen stripper, drag queen stripper, and then they double up the big closer to drag
we couldn't
queens.
show anything back then. You know, you even had to have your crack covered up.
Yeah.
So
even your crack.
Yeah. You would do.
You had to wear a tea bag.
Yeah. Exactly. Yeah. Very good.
Yeah.
You know.
Oh well, I went to.
I thought we're supposed to be talking about straight.
We're getting there. Well, all those strippers were straight. I used to work.
Not the ones. Well,
I bar backed at a few bars and worked at a few bars over the years. And the Metro, I would work at the Metro, and I worked at the Armory for a hot minute.
Sure.
All the strippers. Well, maybe not then. Maybe not at that spot you're talking about. But like all the strippers that were kind of floating around the Metro, all the go-go boys that were floating around the Metro, were all Life College, studying to be chiropractors.
Exactly,
and
that's what they have.
Trouble with a capital T.
Swinging Richards now.
That's
that. They moved over there.
Oh, are they all? Is Life College still around?
Yes.
No. How is that possible?
Absolutely.
I thought they lost their accreditation.
We used to take girlfriends there, and one of them would he could tell that she wasn't married, and he's like bending over. He goes, "Hey, my brown eyes winking at you." Yeah, it's like. Don't touch me.
Somebody was telling me about Swing Richards the other day, and I stopped going. I couldn't take I don't like when the strippers talk to me.
No,
like if they're gay or bi, fine.
Yeah.
Maybe it's a little better. But like when they're like straight and they're like trying to like,
dude,
I don't even know what it is. I'm just like, stop. I don't like straight people. Stop talking to me. You're ruining this. Like,
close your mouth.
Yeah, exactly. And also as somebody who wears glasses, I don't know why male strippers want to take my glasses off my face and then rub them on their dick.
Oh.
But I swear to God, every time I've ever been to a strip club, the minute I walk to tip somebody, the first thing to do, now I'm like, I lean my head back. I'm like, don't touch my fucking glasses. I only have a cloth here. I don't have any fucking, you know what I mean? Have you never had that happen?
Do you need a special cleaner for that?
I suppose. I've had somebody do it and then their dick had baby oil all over it.
God.
And then they handed it back to me. It's like, there's baby oil all over my lenses. I can't.
And it's just close enough to your nostrils that you smell the smegma. Yeah.
Well, Rick, you didn't have to add that. Well, Rick, it's interesting because I met you through the Big Gay Game Show with Lost and Found, where you guys were sort of doing almost like a town hall. So it was a game, it was a fundraising game show entertainment thing.
Yep.
But it was really like a ground, here's the State of the Union every single month.
Yeah.
Here's what's going on. And it's like you're basically the voice in my mind when I think about what's going on with gay, homeless youth. I think about Lost and Found and those statistics.
Sure.
And they're all still true, right? So it's like, what is it?
Even worse now.
What's the percentage of homeless people between 18 and 25 that are queer?
That are homeless?
That are homeless that are queer, though. So it's like
60% of the youth that age that come out to their parents are put out on the street.
Yeah.
It was 50% before somebody got elected.
Yeah.
And
now there's an excuse to kind of like legitimize that type of hatred.
You can use the N word or the F word or, it's just, you can grab them by whatever. Yeah. This country's going to hell in a handbasket.
And I think that people don't understand about like somebody like that person, and I'll call him Trump. I don't even give a fuck. But when someone like that gets elected on a platform like that it's the marginalized groups that feel the most pain.
Oh, absolutely.
And so like the dogs that are already being kicked are just being kicked more.
Yeah.
So people who are like, not everyone's able to like come out after their 4th year at Vassar or after a weekend in Mykonos and blah 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 blah.
Absolutely not.
But that's what we hear. We hear those kinds of stories. We don't hear like, I didn't come out, I got found out and threw out and those kinds of things.
Exactly.
And I think that's more of what's happening is that kids are being, what I'm noticing is that kids are being out maybe at school and then their family's catching on. It's like they're living the double life where they change their outfits up and their attitudes up and then they come home to try to straighten up.
Yeah. I remember right after the Supreme Court decision, I was standing there. I'd gone out and picked up a kid whose mother was in jail, so she had signed away his rights. And I said, well, it's a historic day. You know, they just, so you're going to come with me down to the celebration.
Yeah.
And you know, John met me there. And I stood there watching this young kid interact with all the gays and allies and lesbians that were there. And it hit me. This is going to trickle down to the kids. The Supreme Court says it's okay to be gay.
Yeah.
So they're going to come out to their parents, and they're going to end up, you know, they've got less than a coin toss chance.
Yeah, absolutely.
So, you know.
Well, it's like things like movies like Love, Simon.
Yeah.
Which bugged me in the sense that it's like, okay, well, here's something that's clearly being marketed to gay youth. That is a fantasy world where nobody is discriminated against or hurt in any way.
Yeah.
And it's going to encourage these kids to come out.
Yeah.
And it to nothing, to no support, to no, and what is it? Who makes the money for that? Who gets? And it's a straight guy who stars in it. Mm-hmm. It's like it, and I try to explain that sometimes to other gay people, and they don't get mad about it. They think it's cute. I'm like, but it's gonna, you know, it's like we stayed in the closet in my generation because we had to for a survival thing, and only when we found spaces where we thought, okay, it's 100% safe in every direction, did I come out.
Exactly.
Yeah. And it's,
it just blows my mind. We had a don't ask, don't tell policy here in the South way before Clinton.
You know, right? Exactly. He stole it from the South.
Yes, exactly.
Well, every town was allowed one allowed one sissy.
Yeah.
I felt like a hairdresser. Yeah. There was always one. The person who played the organ in the church, or the person who did so and so's hair.
Or mother's hairdresser.
Yes, exactly. There was always somebody like that.
Mr. Stanley. He wants to give you a bob.
All right.
No.
Payne used to joke that in Pelham he was just waiting for the town faggot to die so he could be it, and that was like that's what he thought he was going to grow up into.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like he was going to be the town hairdresser at some point. He's like, I don't even know how to cut hair. I'm like, you would have figured it out. First time you sucked a dick, it would have been like, oh yeah, okay, that's how you do it.
Oh, this is new. Oh my God. But I mean, I knew I was different. I mean, for Christmas I wanted an easy bake oven.
Yeah.
You know, a typewriter, a paint set.
Yeah.
Daddy would buy me G.I. Joes, and I would sneak off and make them kiss each other and tie each other up. but you're right. You know.
Well, that's the thing too. You said you didn't know, and that's something that we talked about on this. It's very interesting for the millennials. There's a lot of millennials comedians in town who all identify as bisexual.
Yeah.
And it's a lot different than obviously the bisexual we were talking about earlier, which is the along the way kind of where they didn't know they were. It's sometimes harder for bisexuals because they didn't identify as gay or straight. They were sort of in between, and it's like that like terminology. So when was the first time you so you knew you were different and you did all that, but when was the term? When did you hear the term gay or queer or sissy or whatever it was?
On the school bus. And I was, of course, I was hanging around with a girl. And somebody called me queer, and this was like second grade. And she goes, oh my God, he just called you queer. And I was like, what's that mean? Yeah, that type of thing. So I learned that way. And learned to deflect it or ignore it. I was the president of every club in high school that I was in. But I still took different ways to get around class so that I wouldn't have to go around bullies or things like that. But when it come down to it, I threw punches when I needed to. But I'm a country boy. It was the same school my parents went to. Had a couple of the same teachers. But when I finally came out, it was a relief. And I've been going strong ever since.
Now, did you come out when you say finally came out? Like you finally came out to who? Because you were probably out in so many other.
Do you want the whole story? Because it's hysterical.
Do it.
Okay, so we decided to.
I like how somebody's like, "Do you want the story? It's hysterical." No, I want the terrible, boring version, please.
We decided to get divorced. Okay. So
your wife, your former wife,
and
was that the reason?
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, that and quite a few other things. But so I met my mother at work. She wanted to talk, and she pulled me in the back office, and I said, "Look, blank name and I are not going to get back together. There's not going to be any grandkids from me. and you could see her starting to clutch her pearls. I'm just going to lay it out for you. Mom, I'm gay. I don't want to have any conversations with people where they're telling me that you're at home crying, blaming it on yourself, or books from the church, because my mom played the piano for the church, and a church that my family built.
Wow.
Yeah, I mean, playing the wood and everything. Yeah. I said, if you have any questions, let's get it out in the open. She goes, no, I've always known you were different. You like the nicer things compared to your brothers, and well, I don't guess I have any questions except, well, do you? I said, yes, Mom, I take it up the butt. And she goes, oh, your dad and I tried that once and it just hurt too much. I was like, well, Mom, practice makes perfect. So, right after that, we would still introduce people coming home with me for the holidays as this is Sam and he doesn't have a place to go. Yeah. But when they met John, they fell in love with John for some reason, and he was just accepted as the family. In fact, when my mother passed, the big thing was with Southern families is who's sitting up front with the family. And everybody was going, well, where's John going to sit? Where's John going to sit? And my grandmother took that cane and she tapped the funeral parlor floor, and she goes, John will sit with Rick and beside me on the front row, and if anybody has a problem with that, they don't fucking have to come to my house anymore. And it was never brought up again. So I was fortunate in that way.
That's great.
I praise Oprah and Phil Donahue for that.
Oh, really? That they watched every day?
Oh, she watched those.
Oh, well, I mean, Oprah, they took them to task when they had that whole community. Did you ever see the one with the guy the guy with AIDS in the swimming pool, and they brought the whole community there? Yeah. And they just, gut wrenching. Oh, yeah. Even then it was like almost impossible to watch. But now, like to see that hatred coming, because that's the thing
it's coming back again.
Well, it is, but like what I find is that what I deal with mostly isn't outright hatred. What I deal with mostly is this stereotype of being gay, or this kind of straight person who fetishizes gay people. So it's not that we're like equal to them, that we're like spicy versions of where I always call it extra crispy. They love extra crispy, you know what I mean? And that's all we are.
So tell us about yourself. No,
which one of y'all is the woman or whatever it is. And those are the folks that sometimes, like in their own mind, think that they're like our biggest allies. It's like, no, you've just been sort of obsessed with gay people your whole life.
Exactly.
And that's, you love John Waters. You don't love gay people. You know what I mean? Exactly. But no, that's interesting though, because like when you bring that up, that Oprah especially, I remember watching it recently, like in the last couple of years, thinking about how visceral, because I remember being like screamed at that they like by people like in the 90s like that. But it's been a long time. Even when they protested the comedy show at Pride last year, they showed up and started yelling at us. The way they did it was just so meek compared to how they used.
But did you hear what they did this year?
No, what did they do this year?
They, drag queen storybook telling is a big thing. Yeah. So they had a big event with all these kids straight
over in Ponce City Market or in the park?
No, in the park. Yeah. And they came up and started yelling stuff there in front of those kids.
Wow.
That is just pick on somebody your own fucking size.
Absolutely.
Well,
that's the thing I saw last year too, was like what they did to us was nothing. But then I watched them like yell at like two lesbian mothers and their kids. And I was almost like, oh God, I'm going to have to. But the one lesbian mother was just like, she was like yelling at three of them at once. I was like, oh, she's got this. I just stood behind her. I was like, yeah. You know what I mean? But it was like, I think the outright hatred it's there for sure.
It's pure ignorance. That's all it is.
Oh, absolutely.
It's just not being able to think for yourselves.
And seeing that, like, if you truly view being gay as like a choice that we're making. And you know what I'm saying? It's like we're choosing this, so why should you have to co-sign it in any capacity? That's like the most, to me, it's like such a selfish, obviously, but that's what their thought process is. Their thought process is that we are deliberately living degenerate lifestyles because we are just that bad and awful.
So, don't worry about us. We're fine.
Yeah, exactly.
Go live your life. Stop spending your money on these big giant signs that tell us we're going to hell.
Yeah.
And try putting it into education for your child.
Yeah, absolutely.
Or therapy, because they're probably going to need it.
Yeah, absolutely. Like I always tell people that the first homophobes I met were like related to me.
Yeah.
They're not there now, but that's where I learned. I didn't know what I was. I just knew it was wrong.
Yeah.
From the minute I started talking, everybody was always talking about like how I sounded.
Yeah.
And then the first time I ever recorded and listened to my own voice, like 4 years old.
Yeah.
I hated my, you know what I mean? Like that. And it wasn't because of anything other than being told. So I didn't know what they were talking about.
Yeah.
And then I heard myself recorded back and I was like, I get it now. Yeah, you know what I mean? Like,
please, I still get, thank you, ma'am, drive around at the drive-thru. So
my voice deepened at some point, but it's still
Not
there.
me.
My hands wave around. I mean, anyone who's always like, oh yeah, you don't seem gay. I'm like, watch my hands. They're like two hummingbirds trying to escape my body. You've been to Mary's?
Oh, yeah.
Okay, so you remember Bernadette?
Yes.
Okay, so Bernadette, one night I was at Mary's and I was in the middle of telling some story and I waved my hand and like Bernadette was coming around the corner and I stuck my pinky directly into her mouth. So like my hand flourished out where my pinky went right into her mouth. Like literally she could have bit my finger off.
She probably would have if she thought about it.
She'd been completely justified in my mind. You know what I'm saying? I might be the only man that's ever been, I don't even. And she just looked me up and down, like took her mouth off my finger and then just never. And then every time I would go there, I would tip her as much as I possibly could. It was like in that moment, she could have just destroyed me or got me banned.
We shall never talk of this again.
And it was just flamboyant hand gestures. It was just got out of control. So let's talk about Rainbow House Coalition.
Okay.
So tell people how can they get involved? Like what can they do?
We started 2 weeks ago. I got the bank account set to up on Friday. So between now and November, I will be announcing, go to Facebook, Rainbow House Coalition, like our page. Every November, I spend 24 hours on the street. I'm sorry, 48 hours on the street.
Okay.
And
why 48 hours?
Because we have 24 to 48 hours to get to the kids before they have to do something illegal to survive.
Yeah.
And that's usually self-medicating.
Yeah.
Not necessarily to make the world go away, but a lot of times, especially in Atlanta, it's crack or cocaine so that they can stay awake because it's not safe to sleep at night.
Yeah, absolutely.
And that leads to unprotected sex and things like that. So I'll be camping out in front of Burkhart's Saturday, the 2nd of November and the 3rd. Okay. Don't bring me clothes. You can bring me gift certificates to fast food that I can give kids, or you can bring me money so that we can get these houses up and rolling.
Awesome. So you guys are looking to basically do some you're raising capital to then purchase these, or not purchase, but like lease these homes.
Exactly. And then once I have the city on board, we'll start. I think I've got it down to $2,000 to $3,000 to build a tiny home. Instead of $300,000, you know.
Absolutely.
So we'll be going out to groups to ask them to raise and build. Sort of the gay version of Jimmy Carter's Habitat for Humanity.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. Do that. There's so many ways we can approach this. And if I don't take government funds, I don't have to go through the damn red tape.
Absolutely.
And you know me, I like that. I don't like red tape. You're going to tell me I can't do something.
Match with
you're going to have to tell me why.
Absolutely.
Because I'll figure out a loophole.
Absolutely.
So, and
red tape doesn't match anything you wear.
No.
So that sounds great. So, like, what if you're somebody who maybe doesn't have money? How can you volunteer? Can you?
Yes, we will be having
maybe
volunteer.
Sharing. Like social media
absolutely
sharing.
We'll have opportunities. They can make connections with me for their church or their business. I just came from.
I think we'll time this that this will come out the week before the week of your event. Yeah. So this will be out the Tuesday before that event.
Yeah. Okay.
Cool.
That's perfect.
Yeah, absolutely. Now that I know that that's happening, I think we can make that work. All right, cool. We have a couple more minutes.
Okay.
I like to ask this question of everybody. It's a dumb question, but it's a dumb podcast, and I'm a dumb person. But when you think of straight people, just straight people, close your eyes and just imagine the straightest, straight, just so straight. What do straight
That's a good question.
See, I keep telling people that.
And that's, as a speaker, when I say that's a good question,
You're thinking
that allows
I know.
my mind to think.
Yeah. What you're really saying is, what a stupid question. I got to come up with something.
No. You know, the queen in me would say straight people are breeders and give more of us because it takes them to make us.
Right.
But that's not so much true anymore.
Yeah.
So straight people are just normal people, just like we're normal people, and hopefully they're on our side, because if you're not, you better get your butt ready, because we're going to come over you. So,
right. Okay, so you're not going to answer the question?
No, that is
no. What do they eat?
Where do they eat?
What do they eat?
What do they eat?
Yeah.
Oh God!
You were getting all like, you were all Mother Teresa me.
Yes,
I'm not giving you an award, bitch.
Bitch.
You don't have to, bitch. You're not getting an award for nothing. You don't have to give me that fucking Mother Teresa shit.
It depends.
We all know that you're Sister Teresa.
You know,
okay?
if it was my generation of straight people,
yes,
would eat normal food, like everything that's fried and stuff like that. Millennials today, you know, I've never heard of all the shit that they eat today. I saw a lawsuit on Judge Judy or something today that a band left because they didn't provide one vegan meal. You know, but they still wanted to get paid. So gluten. What the fuck? I used to drink milk straight from the cow. Granny would bring it in, pour off the cream, and set it down in front of us. And I'm still here, 55. So, you know, feed your kids bacon every once in a while. They'll love it.
Okay, so you're still not going to answer the question, but that's fine. No, we're would you come back if I had you?
Absolutely.
Okay, cool. Well, what I think I want to do is we're gonna make sure that this comes out the week of the event.
Sure.
But then have you back like in a couple months to see where you guys are and what kind of help you need. And absolutely great.
That'd be
and then
great.
you can tell me more of your stories about like being out, and you haven't told me anything funny about John yet. I know there's plenty there.
John grew up in the Brady Bunch.
He did,
and he was only one of two kids.
Oh.
So yeah. Yeah.
Okay. Well, each of them had 3 personalities.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, this has been Straight People, Mr. Rick Westbrook. Tell people where they can find you online.
Rick Westbrook on Facebook. Our website is rainbowhouseatl.org.
Rainbowhouseatl.org. This is Straight People. Take care. Bye.
No. I want bold quake. Give me what I asked for or I'm leaving.